Welcome to this episode of the Sober Barkeep. So for this episode, we're going to talk about what is a non-alcoholic beverage. Well, you would think by name, a non-alcoholic beverage means it has no alcohol in it. You would be wrong. So why is that? Well, it goes back 100 years actually. 100 years ago this year, in January of 1920, the Prohibition Amendment went into effect. Prohibition, the 18th Amendment, declared that the sale, the transportation, and the production of alcohol, of intoxicating liquors was prohibited in the United States of America. It was a very simple statement in a constitutional amendment. It had to be backed up by law. Now, it's very interesting that the 18th Amendment is the only amendment to our Constitution that prohibits the capabilities of the American people. And 13 years later, it was repealed. So it's the only amendment to ever be repealed. During those 13 years, nobody followed the law. Very few people followed the law. In fact, it's estimated that more people drank during Prohibition than did prior to Prohibition. And the real problem was people began to wonder if we're not going to pay attention to that law, what laws should we pay attention to? And our country went into near anarchy. And they repealed Prohibition and started drinking again. Now, all that being said, the reason I brought it up is the term and the definition of non-alcoholic beverage came into effect because the law had to define what a intoxicating liquor was. Because that's all the amendment said is that intoxicating liquors were prohibited. So as law went into effect, the brilliant minds that were decided that anything under 0.5% or 0.5% alcohol was not intoxicating. And part of that, there was a little science to it. Freshly squeezed orange juice typically has, believe it or not, around 0.5% alcohol. Just natural. That's in there. So there was a little bit of rationale to it, though very little. There was a lot of fighting that went on to decide what it was. So that being said, when we talk about non-alcoholic beverages, we're talking about beverages that are bottled under law in the United States of America or sold in the United States of America that have less than 0.5% alcohol. So if you think about that, it would take, although there is alcohol in it, it would take 8 beers, 8 non-alcoholic beverages, if they were at 0.5% alcohol, and most of them aren't. But if they were right at the edge of what was legal, it would take 8 of them to be the equivalent of alcohol of 1 beer. For mixed drinks, where the alcohol for, say, tequila is 40%, 1/2, it would take 80 drinks mixed at the same ratio to be the equivalent of 1 margarita. So there's not a whole lot in there. It's a very small amount, and it's equivalent to what's in some drinks naturally by nature. So, but don't kid yourself. There is alcohol in these drinks. So that kind of just sets the stage and defines what a non-alcoholic beverage is and what we'll be talking about here. Now, there are some zero alcohol drinks out there, and we will try some of those on this channel. We'll bring some of those up. There's actually some beers that market themselves as 0.0% alcohol. Now, even those, and we'll talk about it a little more when they're, aren't completely alcohol-free because you can round. And for instance, there's one beer that advertises itself as 0.0% alcohol, and it's actually 0.03% alcohol. So there's still some residual alcohol in that, and that's due to how it's made. And we'll talk about how non-alcoholic beer and liquor is made in a future episode. So today, what we're going to try is one of my favorites. We're going to try another beer. This is Becks non-alcoholic. Becks is a German beer. If you've had Becks before, I will tell you that this tastes very similar to their regular alcoholic Becks beer. It's lighter, obviously, and it doesn't have alcohol in it, so it doesn't have some of the taste of it. This is one that's always in my bar, and it's got a really nice flavor to it. It's a little lighter color, and what's interesting is when I drank, I liked really dark beers. But this is a nice crisp, and you can kind of see it's a lighter Pilsner style beer, kind of the crust Pilsner lager. And if you look from our discussion just a little bit ago. If you take a look at this, it says Becks non-alcoholic, contains less than 0.5% alcohol by volume. So it's right there on the label, and you'll find that on all the labels. If there's any alcohol in it at all, by law, it has to say that. So Becks has nice color. It's got a nice head on it. It's got a much hoppier flavor, smell to it than some of the previous ones we've tried. But it's got a really nice balanced aroma to it. It's got a crisp, very full mouth flavor. I really, really enjoy this beer. It's a little bit, I dare say, sweet. It's not cloyingly sweet. It's got a little more sweetness to it. It's got some really nice back of the tongue, tingling there and flavor, and a lingering aftertaste to it. This really is one of my favorite non-alcoholic beers. Becks non-alcoholic. Give this one a 4 mocktails. This one is right up there in the 4s. This is one I always keep around, and really do enjoy this beer. So if you want to try one, this is good for summer, but this is also good. This one's kind of a deeper flavor to it. It's not as light and crisp as I would normally have out by the pool, although I'm not going to pass it up out by the pool. But this one is a really nice all-around beer. So for the Sober Barkeep, here from Anderson's Guitar Bar in beautiful League City, Texas. Enjoy yourself, live well, drink smart.